Here's a question for you guys. Do you know your value, right? As a realtor, what value do you bring to the table for a buyer or for a seller? Let me break that down. If we went on a listing presentation and we had the same set of values, the same marketing plan, the same homes to show, who would they pick? Would they pick you or would they pick me? If we both look the same, guess what? They're gonna think we're the same. How am I gonna actually give better value prop? You can be the best agent. You can offer 1,000,000 services, but if the consumer doesn't know, you're pretty much nothing. The consumer's perception, right, is the consumer's reality. We need to not only understand our value, but we need to be able to articulate them in a way where the consumer actually buys in, agrees, and sees what you're worth, right? So I wanted to give you guys a little homework assignment on what you can do. This homework assignment is gonna do two things. One, it's gonna allow you to know what your value is, what your value prop is. Number two, it's gonna help you articulate your value so when you're in front of a buyer or a seller, you can better show them why you're valuable and why they should choose you over me, okay? So step number one, 2 pieces of paper, lay them down. Put buyer at the top, put seller at the top. And you're gonna write down 20 items that you do from start to finish with the buyer, from start to finish with the seller. If you have more than 20, great. If you don't, you need to fill it up. If you're not doing a minimum of 20 items from showing property to putting it on the MLS, to communications, to checking in with the lender, I'm telling you, you're doing it wrong. So you need to get to 20 items on buyer side and seller side. Step number one. Step number two, I need you to highlight 3 things on each piece of paper of what makes you different. What makes you different from the average Joe? Now, you're probably not gonna highlight, put it on the MLS, folks. Everyone does that, it's a standard. But you need to highlight it. For me, I'd probably highlight negotiating, because I'm great at it. Or communication, because I'm gonna communicate, right? So that's number 2, is highlight your 3 things that are different. Number 3, okay? Number 3, this is the value part. This is what you have to actually sink in and actually understand. Why out of those 3 things are you better than the realtor, realtor A, realtor B, realtor C? Why are you better than me? I can tell you for communication, it's simple. I'm gonna communicate with you, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Buyer, nonstop. Text message, email, phone calls. I'm gonna let you know what's going on. I'm gonna give you showing feedback. I'm gonna blah, 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 blah. Name all of those down, right? What is the true value you bring for that communication? Or what is the true value you bring for negotiations? What is the value, right? What are you selling here? Why are you so good at communicating? Why are you so good at negotiating? Put those items down. So that's number 3. And number 4 is simple, practice. You guys, once you have this down, you should understand what your top 3 value props are. You should understand what the value of them are. So, right, you should know why they're valuable, and you should be able to articulate them very easily off of your tongue. So when you're in front of the buyer or the seller, they know this person's top notch. So those are the simple steps I think you can do to be able to understand your value, number 1, and articulate your value, number 2. Guys, come back tomorrow. This is part 1, right? Part 2, I'm gonna give you examples, but I'm gonna show you how to articulate that value to the client in a way that I learned back when I was 18, 19, working at a restaurant. And I still use the same tactics I learned there, and I apply to my real estate business, and it works. So come back tomorrow. I can't wait to see you. Ciao.